Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, broadcasting from Section X Studios at the center of the Earth. And this is the Pop Culture Breakdown with Overlord DVD, a rundown of the top pop culture stories and rumors of the day. It's been a very busy 24 hours, my friends, and we've got a hell of an episode here for you today, including confirmation from yet another source that Kennedy is out at Lucasfilm, some rather horrible news about Brie Larson invading the Star Wars universe, details on the Hollywood meltdown that happened yesterday, with some information on all the acquisitions, firings, mergers, and hostile takeovers in the air. Some reporting on the discriminatory practices of the Jim Henson Company against straight white males, and a feel-good story about Les Moonves that you won't want to miss. And now, this. Yesterday, a tweet was sent out by the Jim Henson Company that said the following. The Jim Henson Company, headquartered in Los Angeles, California, is seeking top talent and new creative voices from diverse communities and backgrounds to train as puppeteers in the Jim Henson technique. Please see posted images for complete submission guidelines. Attached to this tweet was an audition notice that read, in part, the Jim Henson Company 2021 Puppeteer Training Initiative, a 3-week inclusive workshop. And it is currently seeking members of the LGBTQ+ community, people of color, and women of all cultural backgrounds. So yet another company, emboldened by SJWs, woke wankers, and critical theorists, feels empowered to blatantly discriminate against one gender, race, and sexual preference because straight white males deserve to be marginalized and excluded, in their opinion. Never mind that racism and sexism in all its forms is appalling. Never mind that having doors closed in your face because of how you were born, the color of your skin, what you keep in your pants is exactly the kind of ugly bigotry that these SJWs are supposed to oppose. Never mind that so long as one group is singled out to be marginalized, slighted, and oppressed, no group is truly free, because racism is a horrid weed that grows so long as one seed remains in the garden of public discourse. The ugliness of the SJW woke movement is all too clear here in this audition notice. They only want LGBTQ+ people of color, women, period. Why? Why is it that these creepy little racists, masquerading as virtuous crusaders, feel empowered to discriminate against one particular group? They are prejudiced against white males, I suppose. They look at a white male and they don't see an individual human being worthy of respect and kindness. No, they see a history of colonization, slavery, patriarchy, all the sins of the world committed before they were born laid at their feet, negating their individual worth, replacing their humanity with categories, labels, and ancient accusations that have no bearing whatsoever on the lives of the men being kept down. See, your dreams don't matter if you're a white male. It doesn't matter what skills you have, how hard you work, how moral you are, or even if you came from an impoverished background yourself. Some white men do, you know. No, none of that matters. Jim Henson Company doesn't give a shit about your hopes and dreams if you're the wrong color, love the wrong sex, and have the wrong thing in your pants. Their racism and discrimination here is bold and naked, displayed for all to see. Apparently, the Jim Henson Company can't even be bothered to appear to be fair. They could certainly have a commitment to bringing talented, diverse people into their training workshop, but the least they could do is not slam a door in the face of a guy who just happens to be a white male who can't help that he was born heterosexual. Who knows? Maybe they might be wanting to recruit some black women, but wouldn't it be fair and equitable to at least audition everyone and pick the most promising talent out of those auditions regardless of their color? What if there just happened to be a white guy who auditioned who was an incredibly talented man, good enough to be the next Frank Oz. Nope, sorry, not the right color, not the right sex, doesn't like the approved kind of people. Am I the only one here who sees just how hideous this is? To banish someone from competing just because of how they were born? Aside from being an obnoxious bunch of whiny cringe snowflakes with zero senses of humor and the same level of personal joy experienced by parking lot gravel, the thing that disgusts me most about SJWs is their rank hypocrisy. They're so sure they're in the right in their battle to end discrimination, they're too stupid or ugly to see how guilty they are of that very sin. Fuck the Jim Henson Company. Deliberately excluding talent that's the wrong color and sex is a one-way ticket to mediocrity. By this standard, Jim Henson and Frank Oz would be shit out of luck at the Henson Company. Anyone not appalled by that fact isn't paying attention. And now, this. The New York Post reported on May 14th that Les Moonves has been stripped out of his exit package following his firing from CBS as munchkins across the land sang joyous songs in high-pitched voices and striped pants at this metaphorical house falling on the man who destroyed the Star Trek franchise. According to the Post, quote, disgraced ex-CBS chief executive Les Moonves has agreed to walk away from the $120 million exit package he lost when he was fired in 2018, Viacom CBS said. In a Securities and Exchange Commission filing on Friday, the company behind SpongeBob SquarePants and NCIS said its dispute with Moonves over the severance has been resolved. Some money was exchanged as a result, the company said. But Moonves' $120 million severance package, which has been held in trust since his firing, will, quote, revert to the company, unquote. It's unclear how much the former TV executive received in settling the matter, but the party said it will all be donated to charity, unquote. Apparently, Trek fans, it seems that sometimes in this seemingly random universe, justice prevails. It was Moonves who got Secret Hideout involved in Star Trek in the first place. It was Moonves who was responsible for killing Star Trek Enterprise back in the day. Then Moonves killed Star Trek as a franchise by allowing Kurtzman and others like him, who knew nothing about Star Trek and shared his contempt for it, to utterly run Trek into the ground. Even going so far as to give Kurtzman a contractual lock on the rights to make Trek for television, a contract so hideous that it continues to rectally ravage the corpse of Star Trek to this day. I think the Trade Federation droids best described what Moonves had done to Star Trek. Roger, roger. Indeed. Now Moonves can kiss his golden $120 million golden parachute goodbye. Viacom CBS gets to keep that now, and it'll pay for maybe 4 more episodes of Star Trek Discovery Season 4. You can't make this shit up. And now, this. Yesterday, InsideTheMagic.net dropped a bombshell rumor claiming that Brie Larson was in consideration to play Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker's wife. That's right, my friends. Seemingly, Disney is prepared to jump off a cliff right into the middle of Lake Failure with the most spectacular bad casting in movie history. According to InsideTheMagic.net, a new report indicates that the MCU fan favorite is in serious talks with Disney and Lucasfilm to play Luke Skywalker's wife, Mara Jade Skywalker, as the Star Wars universe continues to expand. Ever since the iconic Jedi Knight, a CGI version of Mark Hamill, made a cameo appearance in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's The Mandalorian Season 2 finale episode, there have been rumors of his Star Wars Legends wife becoming canon. Ha! Yeah. With Brie Larson, more like getting shot out of a cannon straight at a brick wall while set ablaze with flaming poop only to drop into a barrel filled with fan tears. I mean, holy shit, Disney. Holy shit! You make Luke Skywalker a cowardly manatee teat-sucking surrender monkey, you have him die on the wind like a wayward fart, and then you bring him back in The Mandalorian to have him star in a series with Grogu and Anakin Skywalker's ghost, only to saddle the poor bastard with a man-hating harpy that will make his life and fans miserable? That's worse than being a milk-sucking freak. Having Brie Larson play Mara Jade is a sure sign that Lucasfilm is hell-bent on self-immolation. Fans absolutely will not accept such a horrific casting choice after the horror of Captain Marvel. And I don't care how good Luke Skywalker's new series is, if the price for watching it is watching Brie Larson prance around as the bestest Jedi ever, that price is too fucking high. More proof of what Paula Abdul sang about. One step forward and two steps back. You get rid of Kathleen Kennedy and then you bring in Brie Larson? Note to Disney, listen to fans and cut out all the stupid shit you're doing. If this rumor is true, Star Wars is finished, period. And now, this. Hollywood news was flying fast and furious yesterday as a bewildering number of developments occurred in Tinseltown, and pop culture breakdown struggled to keep track of everything going on. Firstly, it is confirmed that AT&T is divesting itself of WarnerMedia. In its recent article on the matter, the New York Times said, quote, "Just 3 years after it thundered into Hollywood with grand visions of streaming video on millions of its customers' cell phones, AT&T is making a stunning retreat with plans to spin off WarnerMedia and merge it with Discovery. The blockbuster deal, announced Monday, will create the second biggest media company in the country by revenue, with a sprawling business that touches on streaming entertainment, movies, sports, and cable news. The merged company, which could have a value above $100 billion, would rival behemoths like Disney, the biggest media company, as well as Netflix, the leader in streaming. For the debt-saddled AT&T, the spin-off is an about-face from its $85 billion purchase of Time Warner in 2018. Industry analysts had questioned the acquisition, citing the continued acceleration of cord-cutting. The new transaction will combine HBO, Warner Brothers Studios, CNN, and several other cable networks with a host of reality-based cable channels from Discovery, including Oprah Winfrey's own, HGTV, the Food Network, and Animal Planet." Unquote. So, this not only upsets the apple cart over at Warner Brothers, it calls all recent announcements and developments into question, especially as heads continue to roll inside Warner Brothers with the announcement yesterday that Jason Kilar, the chief executive of WarnerMedia, has hired a legal team to negotiate his departure from that role. The New York Times says, quote, "Jason Kilar has hired a legal team to negotiate his departure as chief executive of WarnerMedia, according to two people briefed on the matter. AT&T, which owns WarnerMedia, said on Monday that it had agreed to spin off the division and merge it with a rival media company, Discovery Inc. Mr. Kilar was kept in the dark about the deal until recent days, the people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations. A spokeswoman for WarnerMedia declined to comment. The new company will be run by David Zaslav, 60, a media veteran and the longtime chief executive of Discovery. So what does this mean for fans of DC and the Snyderverse? My friends, typically in Hollywood, when a new executive comes in, the first thing they do is cancel the projects initiated by their predecessors. This is partly to put their own mark on the company, kind of peeing all over the current project slate to mark their territory, so to speak. But also canceling previous projects also protects the new executive from any failures that might have been committed by their predecessors. If a project bombs on your watch, you take the fall for it, rightly or wrongly. So while I must ask you to take this with a grain of salt, rumor has it these shifts have reshuffled the deck when it comes to geek properties at Warner Brothers. From what I've been told, the Snyderverse is back on the table for consideration, despite Jar Jar Abrams' $500 million contract hit on the DC universe, Ben Affleck may be back in the Batsuit for another movie or TV series on HBO Max, something that AT&T was reportedly in favor of prior to Discovery's acquisition of Warner Brothers. Now it seems Zack Snyder may get to make his follow-up to Justice League, and Black Superman may be shown the exit after all, as the new ownership structure over Warner Brothers may reevaluate their goals with an eye toward, making profit? I love the smell of a free market correction in the morning. Smells a lot like victory, doesn't it, folks? Meanwhile, Amazon is reportedly bidding $9 billion to acquire MGM, and God knows what that will mean for geeks. Amazon has done wonderful things and terrible things, creating incredible shows like The Expanse and Patriot, but also currently presiding over the rumored wokeification of Lord of the Rings. We don't yet grasp the implications of this acquisition, but it's noteworthy that the streaming wars are intensifying with the near-death experience of movie theaters in the age of Coof, and Disney Plus struggles to stay ahead of the pack with new competition from all corners of show business. And as if that wasn't enough, I have a new rumor regarding Viacom CBS and Comcast. A source tells me that, quote, okay, the past 24 hours has seen a seismic shift in the industry. Got it confirmed, Comcast is trying to buy Viacom CBS, who are surviving on debt. They need the IP to compete with Disney and Warner. Word is, hostile takeover, unquote. Well, that's what happens when you take your crown jewel and smash it into pieces with a jeweler's hammer given to you by Moonves and Kurtzman. Hollywood is experiencing tremendous upheavals at the moment, my friends. Upheavals that resemble death throes. What will this new landscape rising from the smoking ruins of Tinseltown mean for geeks and our beloved modern myths? I look at it through a lens of hopefulness. Watch this space. And now, here's yet more confirmation that Kennedy is on her way out at Lucasfilm. Yes, my friends, it appears that yet another source has confirmed a lot of what I've been saying about Kathleen Kennedy being finished at Lucasfilm. The insider WDW Pro has posted an article at Pirates and Princesses with the headline, Kathleen Kennedy's tenure as the head of Lucasfilm may be coming to a close. When I saw that, I said to myself, well, no duh, that's what I've been saying for forever. But then I realized, well, this is at least clearly more confirmation from a different set of sources of what I've been saying for at least the past year now, from way back when my sources told me that Star Wars Celebration 2021 had been canceled, and Star Wars Celebration 2022 would relaunch Star Wars with some really good news. Namely, that news being Kathleen Kennedy's contract had not been renewed, and Jon Favreau would be running Star Wars at Lucasfilm moving forward. I've been on this story since day one, and it's gratifying to see WDW Pro mirroring and confirming a lot of what I've been saying. Most notably, quote, privately, sources say that Disney knows they have a Star Wars problem. Subscribers began either slowing down or dropping after the Gina Carano situation. The goodwill that was earned back for Star Wars via the Jon Favreau universe of Star Wars storytelling was decimated by a mismanaged Lucasfilm. Perhaps worse, the following release of the High Republic line of Star Wars fiction was an utter failure. Consider the recent Star Wars material other than The Mandalorian. Star Wars Resistance was a flop. Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures was mocked vociferously. The High Republic is perhaps the worst ever received content since a certain holiday special. The Bad Batch is launched to lackluster excitement. Is there any buzz? Does all of this mean that Kathleen Kennedy is most assuredly exiting the role she's held since before Disney purchased Lucasfilm? Not necessarily. We could see Kennedy getting a one-year limited extension. It's also possible she could be bumped to a legacy role, but financially, it no longer seems feasible for Disney to keep her on board, and her latest endeavor continues a pattern of incompetency. WDW Pro then goes on to talk about Kennedy's alleged incompetence on Indy 5, with no clear word on whether or not Kennedy will be allowed to close out her tenure by remaining long enough to produce Indiana Jones 5. The fog of war surrounding Kennedy continues to obscure the details of her departure, but more and more sources agree that her influence over Star Wars at this point is fading, if not extinguished altogether. Indeed, there was a recent Variety story that seemed to imply by default that Kathleen Kennedy's job at Lucasfilm was not secure, when it implied that her job was Feige's for the taking if he wanted it. According to Variety, quote, Feige is seen as the most essential executive, having proved his mettle with the massive success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and streaming shows like WandaVision. After it was announced in 2019 that Feige would produce a Star Wars movie, there were rumors that he might assume more control of Lucasfilm. However, insiders say that Feige is fully committed to his Marvel duties and has no ambition to lead Lucasfilm or to take more of a role. Unquote. Well, there you have it, my friends, pretty much a summary of everything that this channel has been saying for at least a year now, and I find it gratifying. In a future Pop Culture Breakdown, I will have some numbers on the performance of The Bad Batch on Disney+, along with some rumors regarding panic at Disney that HBO is threatening to overwhelm them in streaming subscribers. But for now, this concludes this edition of Pop Culture Breakdown. From Section X Studios at the center of the earth, this is Dichter Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha.